Hello, welcome back. This is Matt from Arribatec. In this video we're going to be looking at another desktop to web type function, which is how you can change the default value lookup fields in web if the default fields that they give you to look up by are not what you want. So if you're used to seeing something else in desktop or you just want to change them. Now bear in mind, for most fields where you have a value lookup, the field itself will already have a type ahead, and 8 times out of 10 the code and description it gives you in type ahead will be more than enough. If we go to customer, for example, if I want to find a customer, I can just press space to see the first, well, if there were more than this, I think it's like 30 options, or I can just start typing the name of a customer. There we go, or the code of a customer. But on those occasions, on a particular master file where you want to look up by something different, you will need to then use value lookup. So if I go to this value lookup, and the first thing to note here is that there is a value lookup here, but there is also a value lookup at the head office, and one here on supplier ID, and there's another couple in the system. I think one for currency, there we go, currency, and there might be one on the payment, there we go, payment recipient. So there's 5 different value lookup screens, or fields I should say, on the customer screen. So different screens will have different numbers. Generally speaking, they'll, especially if it's a master file, there'll be a lookup first. So if I click on the value lookup here, then I get this set of options. All right, so in web, this comes from a system browser report that can be manipulated in desktop. Now, I'll be showing you the ERPx version of this later in the video, but just note, if I go into System Admin and then into System Setup, Value Lookup, you've got a screen here called Value Lookup Mapping and User-Defined Value Lookup Inquiry, which very much looks like it's something that you can maintain and manipulate in web. But if I click into that screen, there is nothing there. There are no value lookups. There's nothing set up. This screen is what we're going to use in ERPx, but in ERP7 or CR, it's not doing anything. So this is a bit of a red herring, and it's not going to give us what we want. So what we want is to find, firstly, the report that is set up that gives us these columns, and then to change that report. And again, that's going to be done for ERP7 or ERP that's going to be done in desktop. So I'm going to go into desktop, and the screen you want is, let me just start this off again, in System Admin, System Administration Reports, you have System Browser Templates. Again, just above that, Value Lookup Mapping. That's exactly the same screen, does just as little. So we can ignore that. All right, let's close that and open the actual screen we want, which is System Browser Templates. So this screen is the collection, when it opens up, of all the browsers that have been connected to all screens, top gen sections, field helps. Field help is what we want, and it allows us to change or replace that particular value lookup. So the first thing we're going to do is look for our customer ID. If I put in a cust asterisk into my title, I could easily put it into the description. Click on find, there we go, got quite a few with customer. Lots of those are sales orders related, customer group, customer no sundry. This is the one we want, value lookup customer. And you can see it's a field help, and the title of the field we're looking up is, the title of the report that's currently being used is called customer ID. All right, and the template ID is 103. Okay, and again, you can see a variant has been saved. There's a variant of that we can change. So I'm going to double click on that line, and it will open up that report. Okay, so this report then, those fields you see across the top, they're the same ones that we saw in web when you clicked on the value lookup. And essentially from here, it's the same as changing any report, any desktop browser in the system. So you can add or remove the columns as you want. So if I go back to setup, I'm going to say we don't want to see bank account or Swift. Let's delete both of those. And maybe I do want the relation for the vertical that the customer is relating to. Let's move that down to the bottom. Okay, there we go. So make whatever changes you want to make. You can have a look at the results if you want to see what the results are. All right, and once you're happy with the results, it's time to save it. You need to make sure you save it in the setup so that when you do File Save As, notice there is no icon, there is no F12, doesn't do anything. It's File Save As, you'll get your different options. Now it's the bottom two that we're interested in, and specifically System Browser Template. That's what we're going to do. We're going to replace the existing kind of default variant. Now you could use the user-defined system browser template option, but that requires knowing a lot about the system tables and internal names, and it's quite a complicated process to create a user-defined template. It's fine, in my opinion, to use the system browser template variant and just replace the default one. It's just a different kind of browser. If you want to set it back to how it was, then make sure you just take a screenshot of what fields or columns were there before, and then you can always reset it if you need to. So that's the one we're going to be choosing. Click on OK. It will come up with the ID and value for the existing browser. We're going to be replacing it, so just click on OK. It will ask, are you sure? Just say yes. All right, so if you now close that screen, okay, so it's still got the same template, but now our web screen will have changed. So we can see that that's become active. If I come back here, at the moment we've got bank account and Swift. I'm going to close that and reopen it, and now I've got no bank account in Swift, and I've got vertical as an option. Okay, so I've changed that value lookup screen. So there we go. So that is how you can change the value lookups if you want extra fields, want to remove fields from any value lookup in any screen. As long as you can find it, and it's not usually too hard to find, then you can change it, overwrite it, and that change will be done. All right, in the next part, I'll show you how this is done in ERPx. Okay, so we're now in an ERPx environment, and we're going to do essentially the same thing that was done in the first part in ERP7/CR, where we had desktop access. Obviously in ERPx we don't have desktop, so the changes need to be made and can only be made within web itself, within this screen. So to start off with, we're going to look at the same example. We're going to go to customers and sales. If I go to customers, there we go. So within this screen, just like in ERP7, we have a number of value lookups. The lookup at the top, head office, supplier ID, there'll be another couple on invoice and payments. And if I go to the lookup on customer up here, I've got this set of options that I've actually already changed, and I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so I'm going to close that screen, but the same function exists. If on any screen, if I want to change what's there by default, then I can do that using, in this case, the value lookup mapping screen. So the one that was a bit of a red herring in ERP7 is the one we're going to use in ERPx. All right, so to start off with, once you've found the screen and the field within that screen that you want to change, we need to find that in value lookup mapping. So I'm going to go back to the system admin screen, down to system setup, value lookup, and there's value lookup mapping. All right, choose the window that you want to change. In this case, we do actually get a list, which we didn't get in ERP7. Customers screen, TCU002. If I just hover over that screen, you can see the code there, so it's definitely the right one. And you can see the 5 different fields that have value lookup. So again, currency, head office, lookup, payment, recipient, and supplier ID. If I just choose a customer here, there you go. So that's this lookup, head office, supplier ID, and then in invoice we've got currency, and in payment we have payment recipient. Okay, so that's those 5 different lookups. Gives the internal name for that field, fine, and it gives the report that is currently being used. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this back to the one that was originally on by deleting what I've done, just so I can show you what it was originally. If I save that, come back to here, so this is what I would find kind of by default. There we go, so it's got all of these various columns on it. For me that's too many, but again, whether you want to add, take away, whatever the case, you can amend these default columns in your value lookup. So by default then, each one of these value lookups has a default system report. Okay, and we can see that in a couple of different ways. So how can we find what this report is? If I go into the user-defined value lookup, okay, so I've got this screen where I can change and add, well, actually a list of reports. The list is based on the language. You might have a different report for a different language. If you're using one report for all languages, or you only have one language, then you're only ever going to have one line in here. But essentially, there's nothing already in here because it already knows it's a system report. And I can show you that report if I choose, again, all languages, report type, user-defined or system. If I go to system, which is what it is currently, I can actually choose the thing that it already is, which is, as you can see in the background, customers. Okay, and I can see customers is report 103. Okay, so if I choose that and save it, I haven't made really any changes because it was already set to customers as the system report. But let's see what that actually is. So customers is an information browser report. Now if I go back to, again, system admin, up to reports. So on the system admin screen, you have this extra reports management screen. If I go into there, this screen also exists in ERP7, but doesn't have the ID column, which is very frustrating. But in ERPx, we do have our ID column. So if I put this into order from smallest to largest, so ascending rather than descending, and if I go down with this number, so it's 103 we're looking for, there we go, there's 103, and we can see that that is the customer's object and indeed the customer's report. It's a system report, as are all of these. So lots of these different system reports will be for different value lookup screens. And in fact, in here, for value lookup mapping, all of these different ones for currency codes, head office, customer payment receipts, you can find all of those in this reports management screen. Now, unlike ERP7, you can't change the default ones here. I can open it, I can have a look at customers and see what it's like. There you go, so it's based of course on the customer's object, and there's all those columns that we saw before. If I can view results, okay, all the columns that you see in this list, they're all the same ones that you get in the value lookup screen when you go to customers value lookup. All right, but unlike ERP7, you can't change this because it's a system report. You can't change it. If I go to, well, save is grayed out, the only option I've got is save as. So you've got two options from here if you want to create your own. You can either use the existing system one as a starting point, make whatever amendments you want to the columns, save as and give it a new name, or just go to create new report. If you want to kind of start from scratch, create new report, choose the, in this case, the customer's object, and create a new information browser from that customer's object. Either way, you'll have saved your own report. Now, bear in mind, at the point of saving, so let's say, for example, and I'm going to show you one that I've already created in here, but when you come to save it, so let's say that I wanted to add to my results, let's just see the results first. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to add to do country code. I'm going to add account number, roll number, payment method, invoice rule. You know, so I can add whatever I want to add. Okay, let's add line of business. Once you've said OK to that and you want to save, what you get when you click on save, as long as you have system admin access, is you get this extra option here, which is value lookup. So let me actually say this as cust value lookup MV2, and rather than saving it as a report that everyone can access, I'm clicking value lookup, which means it isn't something someone can go in and accidentally change or update. It's going to be kind of hidden away into its own little section of the system, so it can't be accidentally changed. Click on save. And there we go, I've now created an information browser that can be chosen as a value lookup option. And now if we come back to value lookup mapping, rather than system, I'm going to choose user defined. Just put in my initials. There we go. There's custom VLMV2, what I've just created, ID 3742. Click on OK, and then click on Save. And you can see that report now has my code on it. Let's make sure that's saved. There we go. Saved OK. Now if I go back to customers, I might not need to even refresh. Let's see. Value lookup. And there we go. There's all my new columns for my value lookup screen. I hope that was useful. Thanks for watching.